Hi everyone, welcome to our first academic talks on mitigating circumstances, live. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Chi Shang. I'm the Society Soft Centre Students Union and soon to be Education Officer. So before I introduce our Welfare Advisor Charlotte, I'd like to remind everyone that we're live and we welcome your comments and feedback. So please leave a comment and we'll do our best to read them out. So over to you, Charlotte.
Hi everyone, I'm Charlotte. I'm a Welfare Advisor at the Students Union Advice Centre.
Excellent. So it would be helpful, Charlotte, if you could share a little bit about what the Advice Centre does.
Yeah, of course. So the Advice Centre is a free advice service available to all University of Warwick students. Because we are part of the Students Union, we are independent from the university, we can give you that impartial advice, support and representation. We can support students with any issue affecting their student experience, but the main areas that we do are academic, finance and housing. If a student's got an issue that they're struggling to resolve, they can submit an inquiry form on our website, and then an advisor will contact them within 48 hours to ask for more information or give partial advice over email, and we will open a case with you and see you through until that issue is resolved.
Thank you. So now let's get on to the topic in question and the reason why we're all here, mitigating circumstances. So Charlotte, can you tell members today what does the term mitigating circumstances even mean?
Yeah, of course. So mitigating circumstances are circumstances outside of your control that's having an adverse effect on your study. So that could be anything from bereavement, financial difficulties, mental health struggles, medical issues. The university has a mitigating circumstances process to support students, and that might be asking for a resit, a late removal cap removed, a cap off a resit removed, if you are experiencing issues that are impacting your academic studies.
Thank you. So what should our members do if they're experiencing issues outside their control?
So if you are experiencing personal difficulties outside of your control and that is affecting your assignments or your exams, it's really important that you let your department know, just so that they're kept informed and that they can offer support and give you help with that as needed. You can submit a mitigating circumstances claim to the university, and you can submit that on Tabular. Now it is all checked confidential and it is reviewed by a panel at the university, so don't worry, that will all be kept confidential and in confidence.
Awesome. So what does a student need to include in the mitigating circumstances claim?
So it is quite evidence-based, it is quite an evidence-based process, and students are asked to submit a personal statement just explaining what difficulties they're experiencing and what's been going on, and then any evidence that's independent date-based evidence, so from a professional and dated to the time of when the circumstances happened. The form is pretty self-explanatory. It is on Tabular and it just asks for details of what exams or assignments have been affected and what's been going on. The really important thing is explaining how it affected you. So everyone reacts to events differently. For example, mental health, some people might sleep too little, some people might sleep too much, and it does affect everyone differently. So it's important that you outline how it affected you and then how that affected your assignments.
Thank you very much. So thanks, Charlotte. That was really helpful stuff. Especially since we're about to hit, the crunch time of the academic calendar, exams and submissions fast approaching. So, it's really important that our students, our members, understand the process and what they need to do to access advice if they're, experiencing problems. So, Charlotte, could you please do a recap and summarise what processes students should follow if they're experiencing problems, and which is having an adverse impact on their studies?
Yep, so just a quick recap. If you are experiencing any personal difficulties that are affecting your assignments, make sure you tell your department, see a personal tutor or contact at your department what's going on so that they can arrange support and make sure that they can help you in any way that they can. Submit a mitigating circumstances claim on Tabular. If you are struggling with the form, you can either ask your personal tutor or come to the Advice Centre and we can help you with your application.
Thank you. So last but not least, how can our members get in touch with the Advice Centre?
So we're currently offering in-person, face-to-face, telephone or Microsoft Teams appointments depending on students' preferences. We ask all students to submit an inquiry form which is on our website warwicksu.com/advice. And an advisor will get back to them within 48 hours, but it is usually sooner.
Thank you. So that brings us to the end of today's talk. But before we go, let's read out a few comments and questions for those who have tuned in. So we've got a few here. So the first one being, can you get mitigating circumstances for COVID?
Yes, so because it is a medical issue, you can get mitigating circumstances. It all comes down to the evidence that you've got. So if you've got evidence from a doctor's or a statement from your personal tutor or any professional saying that COVID impacted you, whether it impacted you financially and put you in hardship or whether it impacted your well-being, as long as you've got that evidence. The thing with mitigating circumstances is it's really personal and subjective to what's been going on and how it's affected you, so you can really get it for anything as long as you've got that evidence explaining how it impacted your assignments.
Thanks. So another question, how is submitting a mitigating circumstance beneficial?
So as a student, if you've got anything going on that's affecting your studies, it is really important that you let the university know. You know, your academic ability isn't reflected. If you have had things going on, it's not an accurate reflection of your performance. So it is important that you let the university know and submit that mitigating circumstances. It can give you an extension, maybe to submit the work at a later date, a resit. It can remove any caps from resits. So it gives you that opportunity to reflect your academic ability and not the situation that you're going through.
Awesome, thank you. So another question, so where can I find more information, I assume, about mitigating circumstances? So,
so we have it all on our website. So our website has lots of handy information about mitigating circumstances. So if you go to warwicksu.com/advice, we do offer general information on there. If you are looking for more specific information guidance, then you can submit an inquiry form on our website and an advisor will get back to you and talk you through that process.
we just got another one in. So is there a deadline when, can I submit it after the deadline? So is there a deadline to submit the mitigating circumstances after, I assume, submit a piece of work after the deadline?
So it depends on the circumstances and your individual circumstances. In all instances, it's better to submit a mitigating circumstances claim as soon as those situations happen. So as soon as you start experiencing difficulties and you know your assignment's affected, submit that mitigating circumstances claim.
Excellent. I think we're getting another question in. Excellent. So my evidence is confidential. Who has access to it?
So it's all treated confidentially. So a mitigating circumstances claim is reviewed by a mitigating circumstances panel within the university. So that's members of staff and it's an independent panel. They're the ones who will have access to your information, but it is all stored confidentially and it is kept within that panel. So it will just be them that see that information.
Excellent. So is that all the questions? I assume. Right. Awesome. Thank you. So thank you for all the questions, all the comments, everyone. So that brings us to the end. So thank you. Next week we'll be delivering another talk and the subject is academic appeals. So same format, same time. So please join us again to learn more about the appeals process and what you need to do to prepare for it if you have to submit an academic appeal. Just a few thanks before we close. Thank you, Charlotte and the advice team for putting this together. Thanks to the comms team for helping to get this out to you, to everyone. And finally you for joining and listening and watching. And we hope you found this information helpful. So yeah, thank you and see you next week.